So we're going to give money to localities for planning, to help cover the cost of sewers, if they need more roads, more schools. But again, I'm asking everyone to just see the possibilities of what this project will look like. And that's how we achieve our full potential. We also want to make sure that our neighborhood and rural preservation programs, have the resources they need. So we're adding more money right here in the Finger Lakes to provide housing assistance, community renewal, and local rent subsidies for people as they try to get on their feet. But to build housing is great, but you also have to make sure that the neighborhoods are safe. I was just talking to the mayor about this again, and he can talk about some numbers that are trending in a very good direction. But it is still very much top of mind for a lot of our residents, particularly in our urban areas. And I'm committed as the governor to bring all the resources to bear that we possibly can. I've had Zoom calls with localities and bringing together U.S. attorney, district attorney, police officers, police chiefs, sheriffs, everybody, mayors, electeds, anybody he'll talk to me about it. And I say, what do you need? Tell me what you need. For the first time we have police officers from the state police force on the ground here in Rochester trying to help them and creating community stabilization groups that help go out there and just reach out to people and be a supportive hand to our local police departments because they have so much they're dealing with. I'm committed to doing it. We strengthened our gun laws. There's way too many guns still on our streets today that never should even have been crossing the borders to be in New York State. We banned ghost guns because, believe it or not, you could order a kit online and be able to have a gun manufactured at your kitchen table, a lethal weapon, until we ban them here in the state of New York. So we're starting to see results. We're going to continue to have a dramatic amount of money put toward gun violence disruption and help communities stabilize and give alternatives to young people so they have better options, alternatives for after school activities, and a lot of different ways that we can help people just find a different path forward and not feel like their identity has to be associated with a gang on the streets. That if they don't have a strong family structure at home, that family alternative cannot be a gang. It has to be other adults, whether it's through the schools or social services or through the churches, very powerful in our communities. So I'm going to continue to increase the funding we put toward these programs. We're also helping our district attorneys have the resources they need, helping our court-appointed attorneys. They've been making almost poverty wages right now, so it's hard to attract people to do that important work, so we're going to pay them more. And also asking judges to consider more when deciding if someone commits a crime, a serious crime, a violent crime, of repeat offenders, whether or not they should be looking at more factors, as I believe they should, in deciding whether that person goes back home or is held until they have their court date or they have a higher bail. So those are all factors that I want to fix in our laws right now. I believe it can be done. And I appreciate the support of our local officials who really are joined with us in making sure we do everything we can to make our communities safer. Because you want to build housing, that's great. You want to stabilize downtowns, you get the crime under control. And so those are all intertwined together as far as unleashing the full potential, which is so important to me. Another major area we're focused on is mental health. And this is one that has no partisan label to it. It's been everybody across the state, urban, rural, suburban. When we announced $1 billion of investment in dealing with the mental health crisis, which has always been there, under the surface, but what we saw during the pandemic was quite extraordinary, and no one could have foreseen this, even in the first year or two. But now the lingering effects of what the pandemic did to our young people in particular, they're just kind of unanchored during that time, 2 years, and a lot of them. Teenage years are tough anyhow, but not to have a support system and to have that connection with an adult or have resources available to them through, even a school nurse paying attention to them. They didn't have that for a long time, and now they're a little bit adrift. And we're losing more young people to teenage suicide and other challenges, more going to treating, self-medicating with substance abuse. So fixing the mental health problem has to happen. So I declared in my State of the State that the era of ignoring the mental health challenges in the state is over. We're going to fund it. We're going to work on youth challenges. We're going to focus on the adults who need help, and also bringing more money to make sure there's more psychiatric beds and services online and dealing with the opioid addiction. You've heard me tell before, I don't know a single family that hasn't been affected by the opioid crisis, and now laced with fentanyl. It is so deadly. That's how we lost my nephew. We thought he was on a different path, and all of a sudden, you know, the fentanyl was too much. And so this is personal for a lot of us, and we have to do so much more, but giving people better options, alternatives, just giving them hope can also make a big difference in their lives, and that's something I'm committed to. We're announcing more money for Finger Lakes, in particular, $45 million for this region to support the addiction treatment and recovery programs that you have going right here. I visited many of them, and I want to make sure that we have this in addition to $12 million in federal grants to support what's going on right here, but not just keeping the status quo, but really ramping up and doing much more in the outreach space.